It is necessary for the recording of sound to convert the sound waves to corresponding changes in light. The sound waves produced by my voice are transmitted through the air to the microphone, where these sound waves are converted to changes in an electric current. These variations in the electric current are then amplified and used to control the light. This varying beam of light falling on the photoelectric cell produces variations in the electric current, which are directly proportional to the variations in the light beam. The sound track. As the varying electrical current in the photoelectric cell is small, a vacuum tube amplifier is required to increase it to the point where it will operate a loudspeaker. Sound track.
Welcome to the Occult Rejects. In this extra episode for the week, we're coming back to the Masonic lodges and funeral homes. We got a total now of 100 Masonic lodges and or temples that are located pretty much, within minutes, or if not, a house or two or two addresses away of funeral homes next to these places. And I thought it was, really weird to begin with and very interesting. If there's people who are coming across this or listening to this for the first time, how this even started is that I was going to start covering Masonic lodges and temples that were in Long Island. And kind of just wanted to, basically film the architecture and try to show how there's symbolism that I think that is used in their architecture that we see in other places, federal buildings, government stuff, churches. And, I was even using my drone and stuff so I could get the rooftops just to get an idea, maybe the architecture, the way the roof was made. And in doing that, I started noticing, I'm like, wait, the one I was at a few days ago, I noticed the funeral home turning the corner to get to the lodge. Or, a couple last week, I was at one that was right next to a funeral home. Or there was one that was 2 houses away from a funeral home, in residential areas. And I was just like, yo, what's up with these funeral homes and Masonic lodges and temples? So I had mentioned it to Lisa and Teresa, which is who we did the first episode with. I had mentioned it to them, and we started looking, and we're like, yo, there's actually, maybe something up with this. We were like, this seems to be kind of almost a common thing. And we ended up doing an episode on 50 Masonic lodges and temples with funeral homes next to them. So that's out already, and if you have not seen that, I will include that link in the bottom. So now this is another 50. At the end of the first 50, I was, my opinion, I think there's something behind it. But still, I presented the first 50 and was like, who knows? It's something weird. Could there even be a legitimate reason why? There could be. Right. Could they own these funeral homes? I wouldn't doubt that either. And when I say that, I'm not necessarily meaning it's for nefarious reasons. Just for the fact of that when someone dies, you basically get raped in costs to bury them. Yeah. It's a cost that is astronomical for what's being done. The fact that we're not even allowed to bury the dead where we want is actually, if you really think about that, if you really, really think about that, I would think back in the day, you need some sort of snake oil salesman to convince you that you need to charge someone else now to get rid of the dead when you used to do it yourself. Yeah. And make laws about it. I could, there had to be a magician behind that idea. We need to start making more money. You know what? You can't bury dead people now. You have to pay us to do it, and it's going to cost a lot.
A lot. Fat cash.
Yeah, right? We'll make it a few $1,000s if you just burn them. But, it's still going to cost a lot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, who knows? Could it all just be they saw a way to make a lot of money in a way I don't agree with? You know what I'm saying? I just think it's kind of, if you really do think about it, you are kind of pretty screwed when it comes to burying somebody in costs. So, is it that, or is there nefarious reasons behind it? Who knows? I mean, I have seen some shady things. I don't know if I mentioned it in the first episode, but it was even a thing that I think happened in New York, how it even crossed my mind. But, I mean, there's been people who have been busted stealing body parts, to sell them, legally to sell them. They tissue companies or companies that, actually sell body parts and tissues to hospitals and places. If they start getting more orders than they can legally fill, some people might go to some extremes and start swiping legs off of dead people that are going to be, put in a funeral home a few days later. Yeah, I think in the case that I'm talking about, I think how the person or the company ended up getting caught is that there was a wake, and I think I don't know, I'm not trying to touch a dead person, but I think somehow like somebody went to go touch the guy's leg and was like, wait, this is a pole. And they realized dude's leg was not there.
Oh, wow. That's horrible.
And that was a company that was legal and legit and everything. The guy when he got busted, he's like, I just couldn't fill the orders anymore. And we just started taking shit from funeral homes and morgues.
Oh my God.
So again,
Yeah.
Could these funeral homes somehow be associated with them in that way? And now they're taking dead people and sending shit to the hospitals.
We know what happens with
I mean, the Masons have the Shriners Hospital.
Yeah.
Just saying.
That's true.
Who knows? I mean, when you're using human bodies at zero cost, I mean, just think of how much you're making off of it now.
Right.
But
That's crazy.
yeah, but I mean, without getting too conspiratorial about it, I definitely think there's something weird about it, for sure. I don't know if I'm onto some, big, oh my God type thing, but there's definitely something weird about it. And I guess enough about that, and we'll just finally get into it. So I have 30 of them that I did, and then I will have Lisa will cover the 20 that she has to offer. So here we'll get into it now. We got the Sequin Level Lodge in Newington, Connecticut, and then you have the Duxa Family Funeral Homes in Newington, if I'm saying that right, Connecticut, and they are 1 minute away from each other. They're basically, I mean, if you even look at the way this map is, and this may be shout out to Mike from Hush Hush. This might be the one that he actually sent me pictures of, because he's in Connecticut. They're literally across the street from each other. But, if you look at this map, it looks like you're going around the block, but technically, no, it's actually across the street from each other.
It's a lot closer.
Yeah, so you got that one right there. That's 1 minute away, and that is in Connecticut. And then to stay in Connecticut for a little bit, I did stay in a couple of states and just grabbed a bunch from them. Connecticut, we got the Corinthian Masonic Lodge, and then we have the Washington Memorial Funeral Home. And that one is 2 minutes away from each other. Basically, if you're looking at the map, they're on the same block, just down the street from each other.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, to make it even more interesting, we also have the North Haven Funeral Home, which is 1 minute. It looks like pretty much, I mean, on the same block around the corner from North Haven. The North Haven Funeral Home is, again, the Corinthian Masonic Lodge. So that is one lodge, technically, with two funeral homes right around the corner of it. And then we have, we got the Old Well St. John's Lodge, and we got the Collins Funeral Home. That one is a little bit, it's a 5-minute drive, but again, if you're looking at it, it's pretty much down the road from it again. So I did include that one. Then we have Masonic Lodge 65, and that's in Westport, Connecticut. We have the Harding Funeral Home, and that is 1 minute, literally around the corner from that Masonic lodge. Then we have Federal Lodge 17. Had 17, I had to pick it. And that is in Watertown, Connecticut. And then you got Hillcox Funeral Home, which is next door, 1 minute away. And then we got Dayspring Hamden Masonic Lodge. And then we got Sisk Brothers Funeral Home. That is a 2-minute drive down the block from each other. So again, very, very close. Then we got, love this one, King Solomon Masonic Lodge. And then we got Robert E. Shore Funeral Home. That is a 3-minute drive away. It is literally around the block again. Very close. Then we have Gateway Masonic Lodge number 29 in Clearfield, Utah. And then we have Aaron's Mortuary. That's in Utah, obviously. And that is a 3-minute drive. Basically, again, you take the same block, you turn a corner, and it's right there.
Wow.
And if that isn't good enough, we also have, I don't know how you say this, Rusan Mortuary and Crematory. And that is 5 minutes away. And you do take Highway 193 to get there. You got to throw in that 93 somehow. And if that isn't good enough, then we have Lindquist's Syracuse Mortuary, which is 6 minutes away, 3.3 miles away, that you will take 193 to get to. So that's 3 of them that are pretty much.
That's a lot.
And again, you know, I haven't been to Syracuse. If there's anybody who lives in Syracuse that listens to this show, can you please let me know if there's massive amounts of people dropping dead? Because I'm trying to figure out why you have to have 3 funeral homes in such a close proximity anyway. Do you have a dying issue out there that we need all these funeral homes? Because, again, maybe that's the doctors. Maybe they're the problem. I don't know. I don't know why you need so many funeral homes next to each other. But, you know, could be wrong.
Wow. No, that's true.
Yeah, very weird. Then we got the Ogden Masonic Temple, and that's in Utah, in Ogden, Utah. And then we got, which I think might have been a name I mentioned already, I might be bringing back up, Aaron's Mortuary and Crematory in Ogden as well. And that is, you know, I tried to stick to the 2 and 3 minute, but, you know, 5-minute drive. But again, like if you're looking at the map, it's basically down the block and around the corner again. Yeah. So, I mean, that one's kind of close. I consider that good enough to use. Then we have Uintah Lodge number 7, the Free and Accepted Masons of Utah. Just for people, I know I might have covered this again. If you see the F and A and M, that's the Free and Accepted Masons, just to let people know if you ever see that listed on a Masonic lodge or something. Then you have Lindquist Bountiful Mortuary, Bountiful, Utah. And that is 2 minutes away. Down the block, you make a right, go down another block, turn the corner, and there it is. 2 minutes away from a funeral home. And then another name I just mentioned before, which I'm going to be honest, has made me wonder about certain companies with these funeral homes. Because in the first episode, we came across some of the same names. And in this episode, I've come across some of the same names, and they're in different states. It's not even like it's the same state. We have Rusan Mortuary and Crematory, again, 3 minutes away from the Uintah Lodge number 7. That's stuff I really find weird, honestly. Yeah. We got the Grand Royal Arc Masons in Utah, Salt Lake City. And then you got Larkin Mortuary in Salt Lake City, and that is 2 minutes down the road. In fact, it looks like it's only 3 properties away. Yeah. So that's practically next door again. Right. Then I couldn't leave this one out. Twin Peaks, Masonic Lodge, number 32. I was so hoping for 33, but whatever. Twin Peaks, Masonic Lodge, number 32 in Midvale, Utah. You got Joff Mortuary, and that is 3 minutes away from it. If you took mass transit, it would be 17, but it's 3 minutes by car. And then you will also have Premier Funeral Services in Midvale, Utah as well. That is 3 minutes away also. So you got 2 different Masonic lodges, 2 different funeral homes, both 3 minutes away from the Twin Peaks Funeral Home. You got the 3 and the 3 going again. 33 with the distance. I don't know. Then you got St. George Masonic Lodge, and that's in St. George, Utah. And we got the Pine View Mortuary. That is 3 minutes away also. For people listening and not looking at the video, that again, it's like you're taking one road and then making a left, and it's right there. I mean, a lot of these are that I have noticed is like down the road and you make one turn.
Yeah.
Then we got Vernal Masonic Temple, and that is in Utah also, Vernal, Utah, if I'm saying that correctly. And then we got Blackburn Mortuary, which is 2 minutes away. And again, like I've been saying, down the road, turn the corner, right there. So 2 minutes away on that one. And then there is also an Ashley Valley Funeral Home, which is 4 minutes away from that Masonic Lodge as well. Here we have Twin Falls Masonic Center, and that is in Jerome, Idaho. And then we got Farnsworth Mortuary in Jerome, Idaho, and that is 3 minutes away from each other. And then you have Desmarais Jerome Memorial Chapel, which is 2 minutes away from the same lodge. So again, multiple funeral homes in the same area around these lodges. There must be a lot of dying people in these areas. Which, just in that fact, I mean, the fact that I'm saying that there's all these funeral homes and, all these people dying, is it a coincidence that it happens to be an area with Freemason lodges too? Like, what the fuck?
Total coincidence. Total coincidence. And most of these towns, they're not big towns. You're not talking about Salt Lake City. You're not talking about, so it's... But yet you have multiple funeral homes in small
That's
cities.
what I was saying.
It's odd.
You remember the one, I can't remember which one it was, and, this was in episode 1 that Teresa had covered, and I think, she showed, 3 or 4, I think, in a straight line down the same road next to this lodge, and, she brought up, I think, the amount of people that lived there. I could be wrong, but it was 28,000 or something.
Yeah,
and I was like, how many funeral homes do you need for this? How are they all... Listen, I know they charge an exorbitant amount of money, again, to do what they do. But are you getting enough to stay open just for a few customers? Or,
right. I mean, you would think that they would be competing with prices with each other, right? The consumer wins. No.
No, not at all, right?
No, not at all.
Now we have Malad Lodge number 51, A and F and AM, accepted free and Masons and all that, of Idaho. And then we have Horsley Funeral Homes in Malad City. And that is 2 minutes away from that lodge. Then we have Burley Lodge number 68, and that is in Burley, Idaho. And then we have Morrison Payne Funeral Home, and that is 2 minutes away, again, down the block around the corner. That one, 2 minutes away. And then we have the Rasmussen Wilson Funeral Home, which is literally down the block and 2 minutes away from that one also. So that's another one with multiple funeral homes. Then we got Silver City Lodge number 13 in Homedale, Idaho. And we have Flahiff Funeral Chapels and Crematory, same town, and that is 2 minutes away from each other. It's like literally on the other block and a property or two over. Right next to each other. Then we have this Masonic temple in Nampa, Idaho. And we have Alsip and Person's Funeral Chapel, and that is 1 minute away. I mean, technically, it almost looks like they're practically across the street from each other. Again, if depending on where I guess your entrance is on the property, it makes it look like it's on the other street. But technically, I think they're across the street if you look at this map.
Yeah.
I mean, the buildings are across the street from each other. So, you know, it's just... And if that isn't good enough, there's a Nampa funeral home that is 1 minute away also.
Damn.
So, this Masonic Lodge is 1 minute away from two different funeral homes. And I don't know. Whatever. Then we have another Masonic temple in Blackfoot, Idaho. And we have the Southeast Idaho Crematory, and that is 1 minute away again. Literally like around the block. We have Chandler, Thunderbird Masonic Lodge. And we got the Bueller Chandler Mortuary, and that is 1 minute away from each other also. And then if you want to toss in the Legacy Funeral Home in Chandler, that is another one that is 4 minutes away from that Masonic Lodge. So within a 4-minute drive, you can hit two different funeral homes right near it. Then we have the Acacia, if I'm saying that right, Acacia number 42, F and AM, Arizona Masonic Lodge. We are now in Avondale, Arizona. And then we have this Avendis Funeral Chapel, and that is 2 minutes away. Basically, again, like I've been saying, down the road and around the corner, you have that funeral home. Then we have Phoenicia Lodge number 58 in Arizona. And then we have the Shadow Mountain Mortuary. I have to say, I actually enjoy. I liked that name, and there's a few of those out there. Shadow Mountain Mortuary. That's just like, that sounds creepy as shit.
Yeah, no, it does totally.
And that is 2 minutes away. That is 2 minutes away from the Phoenicia Lodge. Then we have Epis Randolph Lodge number 32 in Arizona. Then we have Adair Funeral Homes in El Encanto Memorial Crematory, and that is also in Tucson, Arizona, and that is 2 minutes away from each other. And then if that's not good enough, we got the Desert Rose Heather Cremation and Burial, and that is another 2 minutes away from that lodge as well. So again, that's a lodge that has two funeral homes, both 2 minutes away from it. Then we have Safford Territorial Masonic Lodge number 16, and in Arizona still. And then we have the McDougal Coldwell Funeral Chapel in Safford, Arizona, and that is 2 minutes away. And from looking at the map again, it's basically on the same street down the block in a sense. So I guess, it depends on, I guess, where your entrance is on your property, but they're literally down the block from each other. And we have Oasis Lodge number 52 in Tucson, Arizona. Then this one, I mean, I added this one, but I don't, this is weird. This just, it comes up on maps. It says funeral service, no number, just North Kalb Road in Tucson. It doesn't even have any picture or anything to show you, and it looks just like empty land. Wow. But that is 4 minutes away from the Oasis Lodge.
If you know, you know. If you live there, you know.
Guess.
You don't need an address.
And then here we have White Mountain number 3 F and AM Masonic Lodge, and then we have the Lamont Mortuary of Globe, and that is 2 minutes away from each other. And then you have the Bullman Miles funeral services, and that is 1 minute away from the same lodge. So again, another lodge with 2 of them right next to each other. Then we have the El Quixote, assuming that's how you say that. 83, number 83, Masonic Lodge. Yes, this picture does look a little weird, and it looks a little questionable. I did zoom in on it, and there is a compass and square on that building, so it is a Masonic Lodge. Again, I was questioning, like, is this another one of these weird pictures where it's like an open lot or like some rundown building or whatever. But there's this square and compass if you go and check. You have the Best Funeral Service, which is also in Phoenix, Arizona, and that is 3 minutes away. And I think that concludes my 30 lodges. And I don't know how many funeral homes, considering there was ones with multiples, but there was 30 of them there. And now, Lisa, we will go to yours. And here is your stuff.
Awesome. So I stayed in Texas, mainly Central Texas. There is a ton of them. It's amazing. I haven't even gone into the Fort Worth, Dallas area, the Houston area, or any up in the Panhandle. I mean, it's just chock full of them in Central Texas. So I stayed in Texas. This one is the Florence Masonic Lodge, 338 AFAM, and it's next to the Young Memorial Chapel by 0.4 miles, and next to the Florence Cemetery, 900 feet.
900 feet?
Yeah, I mean, it's hop, skip, jump away.
Yeah,
you could literally lob the casket over and it'd probably fall in. Just kidding, that's horrible. I shouldn't joke like
Just
that.
drop it on a trampoline and launch it off.
It's
We're fucked up.
But you know, and the other thing, the more out west you go, the more space is between things. And so you see things very far apart just because it's out west and everybody likes to live very far or put places very far away. So when you see buildings that close, that's a big deal because usually you're pretty spaced out.
That was kind of the
especially in
reasons why I picked Arizona and Idaho. I was trying to pick places that like had a little bit more open space because honestly, I think showing those so close to them is actually kind of a little bit more interesting because it's like you have still all this room.
You have so much room in the
You're still next
county.
to a funeral.
Correct. And that's, I mean, we did Austin and you still had those very close together. And then most of these, the 20, will be all in rural area and they are right smack dab next to each other. And you're like, you have all this open space, miles of open space, and you're 900 feet from a cemetery. Okay, so Empty Horeb Masonic Lodge, 137, also in Florence, Texas. Found that odd that you have 2 Masonic lodges in Florence, Florence being a very small town. And it is...
You know what the crazy thing is, too, is if you were to search that town, I guarantee you there's probably some offshoot of Masonry, too. I guarantee you there's something else as well.
Yeah.
There's a Lions Club or Shriners or an Elk or, whatever. I'm sure there's something else.
And so while it is listed in Florence, Texas, it's also listed in Mahomet, Texas. I think it sits right on the county line, and I think it goes either way. I'm going to say Horeb Masonic Lodge is in Mahomet because that's why I pulled up both. You'll see it Florence, and then you'll see as you scroll down, it's in Mahomet, Texas. It's right next to the Mahomet Cemetery. And this cemetery, it's like kind of like a big deal. You see people buried there from the 1840s. So, it's a long time ago. And one thing that I found pretty interesting, and this is like 0.3 miles away from each other, is that the town of Mahomet has had 47 people since the 1970s, and the population has not changed at all. I don't think anybody's either died or been born. Wow. So I found that kind of weird. Yeah, 47 people. I think they had an uptick back in the 50s that it went up to 75 people, and then came straight back down to 47. It's very odd.
It's like
y'all have to look that up because
it's like some Children of the Corn type shit out there.
They
new people come in and they get rid of them.
Yeah. It's weird. I mean, it almost made me want to drive out there. Not really. But.
The weird thing is, too, it's like out of those 47 people, I mean, you know, I'm just being honest here. None of yours are screwing?
Really good birth control going on.
Got a solid pull-out method going on there, I guess. Or maybe it's just all dry sex. They're all just dry humping. Maybe they're Mormons. Don't Mormons dry hump? Isn't that their thing?
I don't know.
They're on some dry humping thing now. It's pretty funny.
But I mean, even the name Mohammed Cemetery, and I don't even know if I'm saying that correctly. Mohammed.
Baphomet.
Exactly. And you know, all this area is historically Spanish, Mexican. So that's just a very unusual name, especially for the 1800s. Yeah. So, okay, moving on. Liberty Hill Lodge number 432 in Liberty Hill, Texas, is located let me see. I can't see it. 0.9 miles from Beck Funeral Home. And so like you were saying earlier, if you were to do like a straight line across, it'd probably be less than that.
Yeah.
Oh, and I included a picture. You can see the door, how it's painted in blue, and then has the checkered floor.
Even has a compass and square on the top, too.
Yeah, and you could see the compass on the light fixtures. So it's pretty ornate. Valley Masonic Lodge 175 in Burnett, Texas, is located near two funeral homes, Jenkins Funeral Home at 0.2 miles away, and Clements Wilcox Funeral Home at 0.2 miles away. So that's either side, really. The Masonic Lodge for the city of Lampasas, Saratoga Masonic Lodge 546 in Lampasas, Texas. That one I included only because I think it's less than 1.4 miles away. If you were to do like a straight line to and from, that's definitely less than a mile away. And that's 1.4, according to the MapQuest, 1.4 miles away from Sneed Carnley Funeral Chapel and Cremations. Mount Hiram Masonic Lodge 595 in Comparis Cove, Texas. That is 0.5 miles away from Crawford Bowers Funeral Home.
It's amazing how many of them, like even between me and you, I don't remember the last time, but like, I mean, I'm sure the coincidence of 2 minutes away, you know, I'm sure but it's so weird how a lot of them are literally just 2 minutes away.
Yeah. The number 2 is pretty popular. 2 minutes, yeah.
Or like I'll get two of them both 2 minutes away. It was just, you know, that brings me back to thinking of X-22 movies and, you know.
Well, I wonder when they're setting up, they're like, we need to be 2 minutes away. Salado Masonic Lodge 296 in Salado, Texas is located 0.8 miles away from Brocker Funeral Home.
Again, that even looks like it's literally down the road and just across the street.
Yeah. And this is, I mean, I-35, you have to think about that. These Masonic lodges are old. They're not, you know, they were built 10 years ago. And this whole highway is brand new. I mean, it's, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years old in terms of how, you know, big it's grown out this way. So this was a small town. I mean, to be that close by still, that's amazing. Okay. Belmead Masonic Lodge 1329 in Waco, Texas. So Waco has a museum for Masons. They have like an entire like history museum and all kinds of artifacts or whatever. It's like super huge for the Masons, supposedly in Waco. So this Masonic Lodge is located 0.4 miles away from Belmead Funeral Home of the same name.
Damn, that's only 1 minute away.
But it has the same name.
Yeah. Oh, you remember that? Oh, God, sorry.
No,
that happened once or twice in the first episode, too.
Yeah. That they probably either, it's in the family name. I mean.
I remember that.
Yeah.
And you remember how, like, one of them even had, like, it was very specific almost to a type of, I guess, spiritual belief And like it was almost like that can't be coincidental. Like it just yeah.
Right. Yeah. So interesting. Maybe the family owns that whole section of Waco.
Yeah.
Wyatt Lodge 21, also in Waco. It is located 0.8 miles away from McDowell Funeral Homes. So that's on the other side of the highway in Waco.
3-minute drive for that.
Gatesville Masonic Lodge 197 in Gatesville, Texas. That is located near, it's located 0.3 miles away from Scott's Funeral Home, and it's located 0.7 miles away from the Masonic Cemetery. That's a lot. That's huge in Texas. I started to realize that Texas has a lot of Masonic cemeteries, which is interesting.
Really?
I never knew that until we started looking. Yeah, I had no idea how many Masonic cemeteries.
I'd be going to those and be trying to find the oldest gravestones.
Yeah, I'm sure they date back to the early 1800s.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that's when they started coming into Texas, is the early 1800s. Brazos Union Masonic Lodge 129 is located 0.7 miles from Robinson and Jones Funeral Service, and then located 0.7 miles away from Daniel and Son Funeral Home.
Both 3 minutes away. 33.
33. Masons Warren Lodge 56 in Caldwell, Texas is located 0.5 miles from Strickland Funeral Home and 0.1 mile away from Phillips and Lucky Funeral Home. Strickland and Phillips, you see those pretty often throughout Central Texas. And like you said, I mean, it's not outside of Texas, but it's one of those things you're like, wow, you see them all in this area. And if you were to go into like Fort Worth area, stuff like that, you see them also there too. Lee Scott Masonic Lodge 793 in Somerville, Texas, 0.4 miles away from Strickland Funeral Home.
Yo, that's a 1-minute car ride. Like, I mean, how much longer could that take to walk? Another 30 seconds?
Yeah.
Another minute?
Yeah.
Insane.
Wow. Alamo Masonic Lodge number 4 in San Antonio, Texas. So now we're in the city, San Antonio. And that is 0.3 miles away from the Alamo Funeral Chapels and 0.6 miles away from the Angelus Funeral Home.
That is something. Those are really close.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 1 minute and 3 minutes away.
Yeah. There was another one. I didn't include it because it gave you a screwy address, but it was also within a mile.
There was at least 3 other funeral homes I left out because they started to get like 5 or 6 minutes away, but they were still located to other ones that had like, because I was like, I already showed 2 or 3. What's the point of showing another one now 5 or 6 minutes away when I just showed 2 or 3 like within 1 to 3 minutes away? So I figured that was enough, but there was a few other ones I left out because they're a little bit farther away. But it's still like again, why do you need so many funeral homes in one area?
Right, exactly. Or be close to them, or put them all into the same area. It's just odd. Nat M. Washer Masonic Lodge 1270 in San Antonio is located 0.7 miles away from M.E. Rodriguez Funeral Home. And that's like across 35. And then this one, Texas 8 Masonic Lodge in San Antonio, is also a mile, which I think if you went straight, it's less than a mile, but a mile from the same funeral home.
So you got 2 lodges basically within minutes from the same funeral home.
But Texas 8, I thought that was
kind
of funny. Yeah.
At 8.
Let's see. Kendall Masonic Lodge 897 in Boerne, Texas. That is located 0.3 miles from Holt and Holt Funeral Home. And again, we're now west of San Antonio, so it's all rural area.
I mean, even again with that last one and even this one, looking at the map, again, you know, when you look at the square piece of property and not look at where the actual entrance is, they're on the same freaking road.
Yeah. And like you said, the way that
it's like you turn a corner and go in that way. So now it's not technically on that road anymore.
Right.
But yet,
the post
it
office
is.
can place the front of your door, in a certain direction, right? But if you were to go the back end, it's like right across the road. Yeah. Yeah. Whitney Masonic Lodge 355 in Whitney, Texas is located 0.7 miles away from Marshall & Marshall Funeral. Yeah. Funeral. Normandy Masonic Lodge in Normandy, Texas is located 0.1 miles away from Cozart Funeral Home. Now, I've driven through Normandy. There's nothing there. I mean, it's rural as rural can get. And yet, you're literally 0.1 miles away from, I don't know, maybe they had to get on the same electrical grid. I don't know. It just...
that's
really close.
That's even how it was when I did, like, that Whitestone Lodge. I wouldn't say Whitestone is, like, city. There's stuff there, but, like, the lodge itself was in the middle of houses. And then the funeral home was the lodge, a house, the corner, and the funeral home. And then houses. It was, like, literally in the middle of a neighborhood.
That's crazy. And, you wonder, were those houses there before? You know what I mean? Like, did the houses come after?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And so now it looks like it's separated, but maybe 20 years ago it wasn't.
Well, yeah, 20 years ago that could have been all one piece of property, and then they just chopped it up and sold it.
Right. That's what I think.
That's
especially
a really good point,
west.
actually. I never thought of that.
Yeah, especially out west. And so they couldn't build right next door if they wanted to because that was the end of the property line. Or so to speak. Madisonville Lodge 740 in Madisonville, Texas. It is located 0.5 miles away from All Families Mortuary and 0.3 miles away from J.M. Day Funeral Home. This is really bad.
Both
2 minutes
away.
Both 2 minutes away. Both 2 minutes away. I was going to say All Families Mortuary got a 1 star. I don't know. It's just, how do you rate that? I don't know. I didn't get the service I wanted. But yeah, both 2 minutes away. And those are my 20.
Wow. So that is 50 Masonic lodges with over 50 funeral homes, with a total of now between both episodes, that's probably about 100 lodges, and I'm just going to take a guess, probably around 110, maybe 112 funeral homes. It could be 120 that are surrounding these lodges and temples. Again, I know before, conspiracy, coincidence, who knows? My opinion, there is a conspiracy behind this. Again, like I did say before, maybe you could just chalk it up to them owning some of them, not for nefarious reasons, but, really that's just me just trying to, I guess, play devil's advocate. But my opinion, there is something weird with this, And I don't think anybody can tell me any otherwise to change my mind on that thought. But, who knows? And it'd be interesting to hear from the listeners and, the people who watch the videos also. If you happen to notice any of these, please comment, or, you can comment and even send them to me on Instagram or Twitter. After the first one came out, I actually had a fuck ton of people actually comment about this. I had people sending me pictures being like, I just passed a Masonic temple with a funeral home, like literally across the street or down the block. There was a few of them in here that I had gotten because of other people telling me, but, there was a lot of comments, and I got a lot of DMs about this. So there's a lot more out there than we're even covering. And I'll be totally honest with you, depending on how you even look up some of these places, you can find lodges and temples different ways and find more of them in the state depending on how you're looking them up. I wasn't going crazy and trying to find all of them. I just, picked whatever just popped up. So, there could be much more out there in different, in the same states that I even looked at or that you even looked at. And, there could be funeral homes right next door that I don't even know about. Right. So for the listeners out there, you know, if you got stuff to add, please drop it in the comments. Send it to me in a DM. I thought it was great with the amount of feedback I got on the first one. So, yeah, if you want to reach out and let us know what's up, if you found more, you know, again, maybe one day we'll have 150 Masonic temples next to next to funeral homes. But
Maybe
as
then
of
they'll believe.
But
Maybe
as of
200.
Yeah, right. Maybe at 200, people will start taking it, you know, a little serious. But we're done with this episode, and that is 100 Masonic lodges and temples that are surrounded pretty close by funeral homes. Conspiracy or coincidence? I don't know. You tell me. Well, no, I do know. I think it's a conspiracy, but I would love to know what everybody else thinks. And like I said before, if you got anything to add, please drop it in the comments or send it over to us. That is the end of another Occult Rejects episode. Thank you very much, Lisa, for jumping on and covering this. I appreciate you doing it again in such a short notice. It was pretty much like a spur of the moment idea over the weekend, and I was like, we could do this in like pretty much a few hours. You know, literally, I think I did half of this while I was at the beach yesterday on my phone. So.
It's crazy.
Yeah, but it's just definitely interesting and definitely weird. So I wanted to put it out, and yeah, we did it. And until the next one, everybody be well. Later.